This week on the Push Pull Legs podcast, we talk biscuits, phones, and some science. Three, 2, and 1. I'm a bit wet, Dan.
Hey guys, welcome to the Push Pull Legs podcast with myself, Damik.
And me, Tom Hall. What's going on?
I'm not wet. It's not raining here, so that's all good.
Raining in England, and it's Jubilee Palaver.
Oh yeah, it's the old four-day weekend thing, isn't it? Going on.
Yeah. It's a weird one as well because I actually had I crammed my 5 days into 3 days last week because I had a wedding to go to on the Thursday. Thursday weddings. Leanne, what are you doing?
Not the one. Yeah, not the one, are they? Let's be honest.
It's not. It's just annoying. Yeah, annoying. At least this one, it was back in Essex and not Cornwall, so I didn't have to take the whole of Wednesday off to do stuff. So I just drove back late Wednesday to my sister's. It was fun. They've got a new puppy, Daniel. Little puppy.
Oh wow.
Little black Labrador named Betsy. Beautiful little thing.
Yeah, gotta love a puppy.
It's the so that's why I stayed down there for 3 days. I was just I get all the good bits of the puppy because I don't have to clean up its shit, so it's real nice. Just have to get to cuddles and playtime. So yeah,
that is what you want, isn't it?
Exactly. So it was good. It's a weird vibe in London at the moment. I've thought about it, and I've decided I am going to stay in London throughout. I came to that conclusion because people come at me, this will never happen again.
Yeah, but I don't get the monarchy celebration. I just don't get it. I just don't give a shit. And I just don't get how, you're right. It will never happen again that we get 4 day. Well, no, it will happen 4 day bank holiday. It happens all the time over Easter. But I just don't get the whole reason. I don't personally, again, this is going to sound probably pretty shitty, but I don't believe that there's much to celebrate about being British. Genuinely. I don't think it's something that we should be proud of because it's fucking miserable.
We're talking about we colonized the world and enforced slavery and all this took everything back to the British Museum where you can see all the world's nice artifacts.
Yeah, and we behave really well, when we go to watch football games and all this sort of stuff. But I just don't get the celebration. I see people with the flags out and the bunting and all this, and I'm like, for what? I get that there's some sort of history and tradition, but I just think it's a bit over the top. And I just think take the 4 day holiday course. But
what did I call you today, Daniel?
A bigot. You called me a bigot. Didn't you?
I said, what did I say? Initiated. Dan cab driver personality initiated. That was I can't remember what it was about.
If you can't handle the truth, then don't follow me. Is all I'm gonna say. If you can't handle the truth.
With it. Unfortunately, I have to be friends with you. No one else will. So
this is true.
Yeah. So I want to go check it out. I will be as much as anybody annoyed by the amount of tourists that are in. I'm sure because I'm like, oh, London. I love London, so it's absolutely fine. But it will be the case of I don't understand much in the modern world the role of the monarchy, but I do understand the economic value they bring. So that's the and if anybody, obviously they get paid their fees and taxes and all that kind of stuff, but from the amount of money and revenue that they bring in, it's actually unfortunately quite minimal. So they bring into this country because of just the fact they're there. That's where I have to bite my tongue and go, would we be better as a republic or just that? I'm like, probably not, unfortunately. But
yeah, don't get
and
me
it would
wrong.
take.
I get that side of it. I just don't buy it myself. Like, if tourists want to come here and spend all their money and think that it's some amazing thing, and they think that, then great. I just don't get why the British people are so bothered by it, because we're not bothered by it. Do you know, it's not going to affect tourism from, you know, we're not going to spend like, well, and I saw someone post over there, actually, it was quite interesting, was this whole like, I think a lot of people do the whole virtue signaling stuff at the best of times anyway, but it's this whole thing around, oh, stop buying plastic shit from China, stop doing all this sort of stuff. And then, but they're happy to put out plastic plates with Union Jacks all over them just for one day. Do you know, it was this whole thing about like, people like Britain as a country is all well and good. They're all big on, you know, save the planet and, you know, don't use plastic bottles. But then this comes around and it's okay to then put up plastic bunting that's only going to be up for one day to celebrate someone's birthday who couldn't give a shit about you. Do you know, it's a bit like, that's the bit that I find funny about the whole process, because I see a lot of virtue signaling from a lot of people. And again, like as a country as a whole, not saying everyone's obviously in on it, but as a majority of people support these sorts of things. And when it comes down to nitty gritty of actually being able to do something about it, and no, got to celebrate though, it's the Queen's birthday. Who gives a fuck? She's got more than enough money. She don't need your thanks or your congratulations. You don't need it. I just find it a bit baffling. I just find that whole thing a bit weird. Like, if she should come out and be like, guys, don't buy single-use plastic shit from China to celebrate my birthday. Don't do it. Just don't do it. Just adopt a Ukrainian kid, right? And I put the money there. Be better off.
People don't just take
that.
Take the Ukrainian refugee in and then get seduced by them and break up your marriage and go off with them. Well. That's what being British is about.
That's what being British is all about. Yeah. Jesus Christ!
I couldn't believe that. Like they were so open to go to the media about that. I'm like,
why would you? Why would you do that? Why would you go to the papers as well? By the way,
I've got a great story for you. You're like,
why would you? Oh, while we're on the topic of Ukraine, actually, I'm going to make a prediction for the future. Are you ready for this? I think in about a year's time, what's going to happen is there's going to be uproar in Britain because they're going to say, these Ukrainians have come over and taken our jobs, right? Because the Ukrainian refugees are coming over, because one of my clients has got one staying in her house or two.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Yeah, that's what I said. She was like, we're preparing for it to come. That's it. And I know my sister-in-law's friend also has a Ukrainian staying with her. And within 2 weeks of arriving, they were working out, they were trying to learn English. They were watching TV with subtitles on, you know, in their house, and already got a job within 2 weeks. Already got a job. cleaning in, like, I can't remember, one was cleaning up a golf club. I think it was, like, you know, toilets, whatever. And the other one was working in a cafe because their English was a little bit better, right? And I'm telling you now, we're going to have this in a year's time. There's going to be the jobs taken up by Ukrainians who come over here, start a new life. Good. Amazing. Good. And there's going to be all these British people moaning because they didn't want to do those jobs. And then there's no jobs available and they're going to moan. And do you know what? I'm glad. I'm really glad because I can't stand this British culture of, there's no jobs available. No, it's just that being on benefits is more beneficial for a lot more people than actually getting a job.
Isn't it frustrates me. One of the first time now there's actually more jobs than there is unemployed people.
Probably
at the moment because the hospitality sector. I've not been in like a pub or some sort of restaurant at the moment that hasn't been advertising for bar staff or stuff.
It's crazy, isn't it? But people think they're better than that. This is the thing. People think that they're better than that or whatever, which again, they may or may not be.
I fortunately have like a couple of clients who are restaurateurs and they own several restaurants, and they're like, yeah, we're having to literally get visas from people from India and people from Dubai and sponsor them to come over because there's British people won't do the jobs that we want them to do. Yeah. And they're like, we're taking these people back. And that's because obviously the labor that was here on the EU clause that they were allowed to kind of free roaming throughout the European Union have had to go back home. And it has taken effect. It's majorly taken effect on the hospitality sector because that was the kind of jobs that they did, like pot washers and stuff like that. Fairly low skill, but like still a job. And I couldn't think of anything worse than my opinion is that the gap between benefits and paid work is too small. And therefore people go, I'd rather take the slightly less money and do nothing than do loads of stuff and just get a little bit more. And they're like, of course. Of course, you'd rather do.
Why would you? Why would you bust your ass? Why would you bother if it's the same? Why would you? And I know that's the thing is that I don't even really have a problem with those people that decide to do that, because at some point it's kind of like, well, the system's created that way. It's the system that's the problem. Let's be honest. It just seems a bit. Anyway, before we get into politics,
people have tuned into a fitness podcast.
Yeah, I'm sure there's much more nuance to that. But it was just as we went off on that, because it was only because my clients, my sister-in-law, mentioned it, and I was just really pleased to hear that they were making their way over and getting the visas and getting and escaping that. I think was great to hear. It's the first time I'd heard of it. Something close to home. But anyway, fitness. Yeah, we all
right. Yeah, a little rundown. We've got to talk about today. Obviously, biscuits. Because I sent down something. We've got to talk about a article that was in BBC News today, which is about male and female times of day for training. We think we cracked it. All it needed was some stern eyes looking on it, and we actually looked at the paper. And then I did a little scientific experiment with my gang today, Daniel. So you might find it interesting. The results might be interesting to certain people. And obviously, I did get asked about some of the VBT stuff that I've kind of thrown myself into to do. If people wanted to know what I fucking do with it and why I'm doing it. But training. Yeah, I know.
Nobody.
Just unfortunately, I don't think it will be as big, but hear it now, thank me later. Velocity-based training is basically to what GPS tracking has done to endurance running and stuff like that, like Strava. That's what VBT should be for resistance and weight training. Putting it out there, that's my claim. I like to think I've got some sort of scientific brain, and it just makes sense, unfortunately. And I love finding flaws in shit. And going, this is wrong, this is stupid. And I'm like, you know what? I believe this shit. Maybe I'm going full potato. I'm sure it'll be 6 months down the time. You'll be like, lol, remember what you talked about?
All right, Joel, calm down, Joel.
Yeah, Jesus. He did another fucking stupid thing the other week.
I know.
But
he needs to have a feature on this fucking podcast, I think.
Anyway, let's go lighthearted. Biscuits. Because, mate. I sent that little biscuit tier ranking. So what we got? Let's just go with agree, disagree, that kind of comment, I believe. So we've got diamond, gold, I guess, silver, and bronze on a tier system, which none of them are bad, are they? So they're like, it's not like this is shit tier, like grow up tier. Like So in the diamond category, custard creams, chocolate digestive, Oreos, and jammy Dodgers.
Chocolate digestive can get in the C from that tier. There's no way that belongs in that tier.
That shouldn't be in that tier. No.
Chocolate digestive with caramel in, however, now you're talking. Now you're talking. The caramel makes all the difference, though, in that for me. So it
does.
I think Oreos, again, good. I prefer the chocolate dipped Oreos because a bit more decadent, aren't they? And I'm quite surprised, to be honest, that they haven't got the M&S extremely chocolatey Christmas box at the top, because that is the best chocolate box you can chocolate biscuit you can get, because it's more chocolate than biscuit. But whatever.
Mate, no, I'm sorry, but I need to check in on this, because when I visited, Daniel, I did bring some biscuits from Thornton and Mason. Have you tried them?
Yes, I have. And
they
were very, very good. You could not eat more than one of those in a go.
No, you cannot.
They were in our fridge for ages because I couldn't have more than one. And they are more chocolate than biscuit. They really are so good, so good.
They are big. They are big and chocolatey. I did think that, and I was just like, I need to check in where he's fucking had it. I was just like, because obviously I brought in like treats as you go around somebody's house that you should bring things. Shock. And then within a day, he'd eaten all the fucking Haribos. Fuck me. Yeah. giant bag of Haribos, like 10 quid a fucking packet, massive ones. And then it's like, I was like, yep, bought these for Isabel. You're like, fuck off. Have you?
Getting looking.
Anyway, I did. Custard creams are standardly good. I do love a crust of cream, so it's fine. I'm happy with that. Chocolate digestive doesn't need belong up there. Oreo, I'd like, but I don't crave Oreos. I get sick of them if I have too many. I'm like,
Oreos, like they're a big thing over here in Dubai, bigger than they are in the UK.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. They're not. I've literally just had some before we came on air. Actually, 4 of them. They're not anywhere near British biscuits. British biscuits are a million times better than any American form of biscuit. They don't belong in that tier. I think the only one that belongs in that tier is the first one you said. What was that?
Custard cream.
Custard cream. I mean, what a biscuit. By the way.
Right. No, Jammy
so
Dodger.
That's the only one. Jammy Dodgers are good as well, but
good, but not like there, right?
They're not diamond tier, are they? That's why I think
I like the jam, but the Dodger part of it isn't as good. I feel like the biscuit could be better. It's more like a shortbready kind of.
Yeah, it's too crumbly. It's not a biscuit, is it? It's not biscuit. I think in the diamond tier, you need to have jam creams. Jammy Dodgers, they're better than Jammy Dodgers. Jam creams are better. That's kind of halfway between a Jammy Dodger and a custard cream. So you can't go wrong with that jam cream. I also like a Viennese finger with the chocolate in the middle. You know, the two Viennese fingers with chocolate sandwich between them. What were they actually called? Something, I'm sure.
Is it not just a Viennese whirl?
No, because they're the whirls, Tom. I'm talking about the finger one with the chocolate in the middle. You've got chocolate that binds two of them together. I can't remember what it's called now.
I know.
Of course, we're missing out on the Lebanese. Lebanese have got to be.
Oh, the Leibniz, whatever you want to call it. I'm sure nobody knows. Nobody knows how to say it.
You don't need to know. Leibniz is fine. So.
They're fantastic. Gold tier, Bourbons, Jaffa cakes, not a biscuit.
No.
Shortbread, and Tunnock's tea cake.
No. Caramel wafer, yes, not a tea cake. No.
Yeah, I love a wafer.
Gold tier is awful. Sorry about that.
That's not good. Shortbread cookies I can get behind, but then I'm like, it's only I have to be like in that mood. Bourbon biscuits are average compared. They're like bad overrated. Chocolate biscuit. Yeah, it's like when you're a kid you get excited. But have you ever had one of those massive ones from like Costa? And I'm massive Jammy Dodgers, the massive Bourbons. Fucking terrible. Don't ever do it. Jaffa cake. I quite like a Jaffa cake if I'm honest, but again, I've got to be in the mood again.
Biscuit, it's crunchy.
Not biscuit. It's also It's isn't it about what happens when you leave it out?
Yeah.
Doesn't a biscuit go soft? And Jaffa then cakes go hard. Correct. Yeah. Rich tea in a silver tier. Rich tea, so basic. So basic. What is that? Caramel wafer. You like the caramel wafer? I think it's too hard.
The caramel wafer's good though. Like I think it's better than the tea cake version of the Tunnocks. You know, that's the other one. That's the other option for Tunnocks, isn't it?
True. Party rings, standard.
No,
that's just
god awful.
They're nostalgic though, and they're only like 18 calories. 18 calories a biscuit, aren't they?
They make my teeth feel weird. You know, when you eat them.
That's because you're an old man. And Lotus Biscoff, probably
top.
Like that's got to be up there, right? But of all the Lotus products, probably actually my least favorite, even though it's probably the original thing.
Well, yeah, but hang on. There's a 2.0 version of them now with the cream, the two together with the cream.
Yeah, I do know though. There's like they brought out their kind of Oreo-based Lotus biscuit things with like chocolate cream,
top.
Lotus cream, vanilla cream.
Chocolate cream one is top. The chocolate cream one is top. You can't stop eating them. They're dangerous.
I remember,
Luckily,
when I saw them.
We can't get them over here.
I was just like, I think it was like, well, which ones are we going to try? And I was like, all of them. I was like, I'm buying all of them. I was like, gosh, I'm not going to go which one. All right, and then bottom tier, ginger nut. I'd agree with that. I like gingerbread, but like, meh. I want it as a house, not as a nut. Yeah. Chocolate finger. Are you joking?
Come on,
they're so good. Yeah, exactly.
People do this. They do this again. We've established before. It's all clickbait. It's all. I know.
Maryland cookies, they're good.
Oh, they're well above rich tea.
Yeah, exactly. If you're looking at that, as a kind of a biscuit, like bourbon, no. Shortbread, no. What Tunnock's tea cakes? What the fuck? Like you got to be super northern to put that up there, right? What is going on? Pink wafers. I love pink wafers.
I'm not a huge fan of pink wafers, but I think they're still better than a lot of the others we just read out.
They're better than a rich tea, and they're better than a Tunnock's tea cake. Yeah, so that's anyway. Cakes, no biscuits. Daniel, the thing, the male and female. I know what you're going to say.
What am I going to say?
So the study was the best time to exercise differs for men and women, says US study. And Dan wrote, surely it depends which I identify as.
I'm so childish, aren't I?
I was like, oh no, it's going to be another one of those podcasts where Dan's just going to talk about whether the identification. No, it's not. We're not going to discuss that whatsoever, please.
Well, and I saw in the comments as well on the actual post on the Instagram, people put, oh, shock horror, there are actual biological differences between men and women. Yes, there are. But anyway, but yeah, look, they kind of did a study, and there's not very many people in the study, admittedly. You're looking at, in each subject group, there were about 15, 16 people. So they're comparing two groups of people who've got about 15 people in. So take the results, with a pinch of salt, a very big pinch of salt. They basically found that, where are we looking here? That basically that women who exercised in the morning, they lost a little bit more body fat, in particularly from around the abdominal region. And it's really not by that much, the differences, to be fair. You're not talking a lot. You're talking within not measurement error, but within genetic differences, basically. And that men were stronger if they trained in the evening, I think it was. Was that it?
Yeah, it was. They tended to, well, both women and men, if they wanted to get stronger, they should probably train in the evening. Yeah. But if women wanted to burn more body fat, they would just train in the morning, essentially. And it seemed like it didn't really matter what time they trained, but it was probably more predisposed, apparently, to the evening.
Yes. And there's a few things to go over. Obviously, the small sample size is one. The second thing is that all the dietary interventions were self-reported. So they were given a meal plan from a dietitian and told to stick to it. People don't do that.
Trust us.
Just let you know, people don't do that. So there's that element of it. The exercise in the morning was also performed fasted. So they had their first meal of the day after training in the morning. So you would expect to see a higher amount of fat used as a fuel, simply because there's less circulating glucose in the bloodstream.
That's why fasted cardio is the only cardio you can do, right, Daniel?
Well, exactly that. There were also 8 peri to postmenopausal women. And hormonally, they will have a different response to training than women who aren't, for example. So that's another thing. And again, like what I will say is that the differences between the two groups were really not very high or at all. And they can easily be explained, to be honest, by just going, well, genetically, we all lose weight from different areas. Like if I was to train now and go into deficit, and Tom was, we would lose body fat from different areas. Some people lose it from their abdominal region first. They have leaner arms, leaner legs, whatever it is. So you can't pick where you lose it from. And that's kind of what this shows, really, is that for all we know, the people we found that in the women that lost the weight more from training in the morning than training in the evening, well, they could have been more predisposed to losing it from the abdominal region, for example. They just could have done. But interestingly, they both lost, I think, pretty similar amounts of body weight, which suggests that they were all probably in a pretty similar deficit and a pretty similar kind of thing. And some people just lost it from their abdominals. Some people might have just lost it from their legs or their backs or whatever it would be. But they didn't really measure the other areas. So it's kind of hard to know what kind of happened with that. So that's kind of looking at the results and looking at the baseline stats and all that sort of stuff. It's really nothing for anyone to be concerned about in any way, shape, or form. They kind of matched them up as best they could in terms of height and weight and all these things, body mass and heart rates and all that sort of stuff. But it's just the amount of change that these people are seeing, in between the groups. You would never notice it by looking at anyone. You wouldn't go, oh, they've lost more from their middle than they have. You wouldn't know. It's not measurable in that way. So yeah, I just think it's quite interesting to know that it doesn't make a difference, basically.
And our conclusion of if you're like, oh, I'm a female, I should probably make time in the morning to train because obviously that's what's more beneficial. No, you make time when it suits your day and when you feel like you have the most energy to.
Yeah, and
I would
it's
say
no surprise that those in the evening were stronger because they've had the whole day to eat more food and to generally prime their CNS to be in a much better position. I think it's more just the body fat stuff that's just a little bit more, I suppose, frustrating because it just adds to this whole thing about like, oh, you can target body fat by training in the morning. You can't. So don't worry about it. Like, it's really not that at all. It's just going to be genetic differences between the participants. So there you go. It's basically what I would say. I'm just, just double checking everything here. Total and regional body comp was obtained with a DEXA scan. So they checked for fat mass, fat-free mass, and abdominal fat mass. But they only talk about the abdominal, not really kind of like overall amounts in the actual news article. Which I'm going to try and read a little bit further while Tom talks.
The funny thing is that people are doing, how many people got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 22 people, I believe, who have been cited on this research. And the thing is, obviously, they're in the field of research, and this is what they do. They come up with topics, and then they try and research them to advise on basic things. And it's just quite funny from us, our position as kind of coaches, as doers. I guess it's like unfortunately, it creates confusion, and it's kind of missing the forest for the trees kind of thing. And it's like, we would be like, does it really matter? No, it doesn't really matter. Do we need to research this? Probably not. We need to probably just go, can we properly calorie match people and go, yeah, do this. This means you lose weight. And then people will just go, oh, that's what you need to do to lose weight. All right, that would be more beneficial, possibly, rather than the, at 3 o'clock, this person lost weight. At 4 o'clock, this person lost weight, or for example. So just like, oh, unless you were to like, I feel like, could they extrapolate the study of like, I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to look.
I just think looking at it, it's all within the realms of normal numbers that you would see. So for example, the difference between the percent body fat that the AM and PM group lost was the same. So looking at these numbers here, it is not a lot. And this is the thing here, is I want to stress this. This is an 8-week thing, right? This is 8 weeks they've done it for, right? The AM group on average were 30.7% body fat. And at the end of it, they were 29.3. So that's a drop of 1.4% body fat, which is fuck all. It's not worth it, right? And then the PM group went from 32.2 to 31.4, which is 1.2%. So the difference in total body fat loss was 0.2% between the groups, 0.2%, which is within the realms of genetic variances between the two groups, right? For one, bearing in mind there was only 8 in each group, whatever it was, by the end of it, because of people dropped out. Then the abdominal fat has gone from 28.7% to 26.1% in the AM group, which is a difference of 2.6%. And then it's gone from the PM group from 30.9 to 30, so 0.9, which is the reason there's a significant difference, is a 1.5% difference in that. The other thing you got to remember is you're doing it based on percentages. You're not doing it based on abdominal actual fat mass. So again, it also comes into it as to how much actual weight on the scale they lost as well, because then there's the percentage. Well, it's like, well, the way DEXA scans work and the way you work out that percentage, they could have lost more body weight. So for example, the AM group could have actually not trained as hard and not gained as much muscle mass. They could have lost more muscle mass. So they could therefore, change something about their muscle mass and how that works. And they could have lost more muscle mass. Their body weight's gone down, or whatever it is, percentage could be higher. Is that right? Yeah, percentage will be higher then, wouldn't it? total fat mass would be as a percentage higher. So you could argue that could be the case. It could be that the female group in the PM trained harder, gained more muscle mass, right? Then you look at fat-free mass, and you can see that the groups gained about the same in terms of fat-free mass. So it's like 1.5% the other way. So it's like, it's just so negligible in terms of like the numbers you're talking about. Like, if I did a study for 8 weeks and I was doing this and I lost 1.4% body fat and I was told that that is significant, I'd be fuming. Like, it's nothing. I could get you that. I could get you that in 10 days if you stuck to what I said. Like, it's just not a lot. So I just don't think it's useful information or useful data in any way, shape, or form, to be honest. I really don't.
Yeah.
Hip fat. So they didn't talk about hip fat. What's that happened there? Hip fat is about the same. Yeah, no difference really. But the standard deviations are quite high. So there you go. That's what's done it. Right. Here we go. Fucking hell. So the standard deviations of abdominal fat percentage were 10.7. So that means that the average, which is 28.7 to start with in the AM group, it means that the variance was between 23.7 and 33.7 variance. And the abdominal fat standard deviation is the highest out of all of the percentage body fat measures. So body fat, hip fat, fat mass, and fat-free mass were all around 6 to 7 standard deviation. And the abdominal fat was 10 standard deviation, which essentially means, for those that maybe aren't clued up with science stuff, means that of the abdominal fat percentages that were taken, they had the widest range of them. So they were all quite different, which again suggests that someone in that group may have had a slightly larger change or a slightly smaller change, and that would have affected the average because there's a larger range. So if one person did really, really well on that and one person did really, really shit, it kind of like skews the average a little bit. And interestingly, it is the highest standard deviation out of all of the things to measure, which again leads into it's obvious also as well, more likely to have measurement error within it because of the range of it as well. So
yeah.
I've only just picked up on that because I just checked. It's staring me in the face now, but yeah, that's interesting as well. That is.
Which tends to happen when you see those pieces, those get bits of data just get deleted essentially, and then just like, nope,
yeah,
that's an anomaly that doesn't normally exist. Yeah.
To put it into layman's terms, it's kind of like saying, right, we had 10 sprinters that ran 100 meters. Right. If you had 10 sprinters that ran 100 meters in 10 seconds, you said the average was 10 seconds. You had 10 sprinters and 5 of them ran it in 15 seconds and 5 of them ran it in 5. It's the same average, but the differences between the abilities of those people are very, very different. So any training protocol for those people would impact them very, very differently. For those that maybe, hopefully that makes it a little bit more sense. So yeah, basically, don't worry about it. Don't worry about what time of day you train. Train when you can. Easy.
Yeah. What time what time would you normally train or like to train?
I usually train in the morning, get it done.
Yeah. Basically. I think I've come round to that. It tends to not be the case.
I'd rather not. I'd rather do it in the afternoon. But
yeah. I tend to train around like 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Tends to be the time. That's kind of schedule permitting, basically. That's the only time I can fucking get there.
I think if I had my way and I could do it every day and I could plan it as I wanted it to, I think a really good solid breakfast and wait 2 hours, train, have lunch as my post-workout. I think that's how I would do it.
Yeah, that's how
rather than later on in the day. I think
kind of like
would be
a 10:30ish 11 o'clock time.
Yeah, not like, because then I haven't got loads of food in me. I've got enough. It's digested. It's light. A cup of coffee, plenty of water, hydrated, feel good. I think if I left it 3 or 4, I might get a little bit like, a bit tired. Like,
yeah, that's issue.
So I think that would be the optimal for me to feel strong and feel good. But I mean, technically, I probably could do that if I really wanted to, but maybe I should. Maybe that's what I should do. I should just be like, no, I'm doing it. Clients can wait. Yeah, maybe I'll get back into the swing of things and do that. Because I technically can do it as well as an online coach. It's kind of, I really wanted to. But there you go. Playing golf tomorrow, first thing in the morning, 6 a.m. That's not good. Like, I'd much rather play later on in the day and give myself some time to warm up. But, Again, beggars can't be choosers. You just, with the weather the way it is, you have to just do what you can.
Correct. Anyway, so one of my education sessions today, we did a little discussion. We were scientists because that's what we are. I know. I decided to set upon the task of my coaches, 6 of them, 7 of them, I don't know, to basically, we have in all third spaces, it's similar to something I did the other week, but we've got a new piece of kit, which is made by a company called Normatech. Dan will be kind of familiar with them because they might have been being used around the time we were in football, but not so much maybe from our clubs. I don't know. But there's like these compression air leg things for recovery.
All about the compression, yeah.
All about those big, basically. So you can do them on arms and legs. I don't really see the point of the arm ones. I guess it can do the same thing, but I just never feel that fatigued because arms tend to not feel as fatigued as legs because you don't use them much. Shock. All right. So put them on the legs. So they're for recovery, kind of like mimics. Imagine putting a blood pressure cuff on your arm, and it's going to mimic that kind of pulsation effect, and it's kind of just going to if anybody knows what effleurage is from massage, they kind of like increase in blood flow, all that kind of stuff. And it's gonna, I use the thing of like getting like, if you had a froob and you were trying to get the yogurt out your froob and it pushes up towards the top, that's what it's doing with your leg. It's just about right? Okay. So yeah, it's just like pumping all the angry lymph crap all the way up to so recovery protocol. But I in essence was like, all right, the only way we could possibly do anything on this right now is testing like range of motion testing against other recovery protocols. It's the only real thing we can do as scientists right now, so we're going to do that. And the only data I think, unfortunately, that we could take as a gym will have to be qualitative data. Has to be anecdotal. It has to be just like, how did you feel after this? How did you feel a day after using it? How did you blah blah blah, all that kind of stuff. And that's the only way you we can't really, unless it's like, I don't think you can add performance-based data because we're not going to be able to like measure the fatigue or the lactate acid buildup or something like that and how far it's gone. It's not possible in gym facilities, right? So I'd like to see that was the case. And also the premise of, Dan, if you were going to use these garments, would you use it straight after workout? Would you use it a few hours after workout? Would you use it the day after the workout? Would you use it depending on the workout you did?
You wouldn't do it straight after, would you? That's
the thing, right? So it's there like to use straight after. And I was just like, to the guys, I was like, I don't think we use it then. I was like, I don't think you use it straight after or after you just showered and got out. I don't think, I think the premise of that is dumb. I was like, sarcomeres are teared, all that kind of shit. Your body's starting to try and recover. You don't try and just like increase like tearage and all that kind of bullshit. I feel like you're gonna elongate recovery by doing that. So I would be like, all right, I feel like you have to wait till that evening, like at least like 6 hours maybe for like, if you think about like aerobic recovery starts to happen after about 6 hours, perhaps 6 to kind of 12 hours possibly. But then I was like, maybe it's the day after is the thing that you'd probably use it off like a certain like heavy leg session or something that you're feeling fatigued, that you want to be able to do it. So it's interesting. Anyway, I digress. So we used that, and what I set out was we're going to do, I taught them a Eli's test, a little modified Thomas test, and just some hamstring flexibility stuff. And then got them all to assess each other, pair up. One person put the Normatex on for 10 minutes. Okay. So they sat there in recovery mode. I would expect, okay, so the premise was within test range of motion, put them on. I would expect, even with that, just to like maybe increase range of motion a little bit, to chill them out, desensitize their muscle, and go. That was what I would hypothesize. So then I got the rest of them. So we paired up. And then we did static stretching on each like leg for 3 minutes at a time on each like little muscle group. And then we did whilst this is all happening. So one person did that. One person did partnered foam rolling. So that is, and I didn't realize that they didn't know what that was. And I was like, is it not self-explanatory? I was like, you're getting foam rolled by you, by the other person. I was like, they were like, what? I thought foam roll was just for you. I was like, yeah, but if you foam roll yourself, you will always back off.
Yeah.
If you get foam rolled by someone else, they don't know what pain you're in. Therefore, they push hard. So administer. They're like, shit. And I was like, actually, you know what? Go grab a wooden dowel, and you're going to do it with a wooden dowel instead of a foam roller, because I know that's going to hurt and it's going to make some sort of desensitization of change, and that's fucking painful. They're like, fuck you, Tom. I was like, for the sake of science, we're going to do it. Then we did that. And then one of the others, they had the easy job of just grabbing a Theragun, and they just blitzed for like 10 minutes along the legs. So like 2-3 minutes per pop. So did hamstring, Eli's, Thomas tests. And you know what happened, Dan? After 10 minutes of stretching and all these protocols?
No, what happened, Tom?
I would say no visual significant difference on any of them.
No way. You don't say.
Shock that, isn't it?
No, surely the Theragun worked. Surely.
It was a case of just I was like, all right, did we have any visual? Because we took pictures, compared them a little bit. Was there any visual difference in like hamstring flexibility or like quad flexibility over hip and knee? And then I was like, no, cool. All right. Anecdotally, the person who got the massage or got the percussive therapy, who got the foam roller, do you feel better? They were like, yes, I feel like I have more range. All right. So that's all it's for, unfortunately. And same with the recovery protocol. He felt better. Apart from Annie, who I static stretched, and he was like, I feel worse. So poor lad. So yeah, it was interesting. So I think you take it with a pinch of salt, and it's like what we said previously, right? If you want to do it, do it, but it's not mandatory. The chances are you probably will feel better, and it's desensitizing. You feel like you might be able to go and train a little bit harder, but that's it.
Yeah,
that's it. If you do it, you want to do it. I like doing it. Dan doesn't. We differ in opinion on this, and that's it. So, and it doesn't matter. I don't do it for a long time. Fuck me. I'll do it for like 3 minutes, and that's it. That's all it takes. My mind's ready. But there was one of those studies that like they put in, like they took static stretching out of some sprinters like routine for like 6 weeks, and they actually had decreased performance over 6 weeks because they were so used to doing it. So they their body didn't feel as prepared. And they're like, oh, but what about the decrease of power from static stretching? It's like, it doesn't fucking matter if they feel uncomfortable as crap and they have terrible training session. So yeah. All about some sort of mindset. Yeah. But it was nice.
Well, that was the thing. It was funny. It was listening. It was like the Champions League final. The delay to that, there was all the talk about, oh, is it going to affect them? Is it going to do this? And it's like, physically, no. Yeah. Mentally, though, like,
yes.
It's like out of a routine, like, you know, all that sort of stuff. It can affect people. So yeah, that's the thing with athletes at this level. Sometimes is it's, you know, you can be affected by a change in routine, whether it's stretching, whether it's the right thing to do or not. That's why with the Theraguns with athletes, I don't mind them, because it's about, for them, they're preparing for competition in a different way. But the everyday person in the gym, you see LeBron James using it, and you think, oh, it must work. It's like, no, LeBron James needs to perform at that level. So even if mentally he thinks it's giving him 1%, he should do it. 100% he should do it. You are not LeBron James. You're not competing. You are leaving your desk to go to the gym to train. Like, you do not need a Theragun. Like, don't be so stupid. Like, it's that, isn't it? It's understanding that a little bit. People miss out on.
Beautiful. I think we'll bring it to a close, Daniel. Nice solid 40 minutes of sorts. Any other busyness?
Not from me.
No, not from me either. I feel like there is, but I don't know what it is.
Obviously, anyway, coaching. Anyone who wants coaching, just reach out to us. We're not full. We're never full. Always. So,
always welcome to chat. book in for a chat. You got Calendly. Have you got Calendly? What's your booking
Nah,
system?
just message me. Just message you. I'm not a high flyer like Tom. I don't need. I haven't got a PA to do all my admin for me.
I don't have a PA. I wish I did. But if you legitimately just want to book in, you can book in that. Fuck it, it's easy. If it's your schedule and mine. But if you just want to message me, then do that. Lovely. Yeah, no, that's me. Thanks for listening, guys. We'll catch you next week.
See you later.